Baseball is upon us, guys. We had 3 games deep, right? 3-4 games deep.
Yeah, depending
on,
on your team, you might have as many as 5, but I think most teams have 3 or 4 games under their belt at this point.
Yeah. Let's start with some Oakland A's scores, Vince.
All right, so on Thursday, opening night, the A's get the 2-1 victory over the Angels. The series the series took off Friday and then continued Saturday and Sunday, where the Angels beat the hell out of the A's 13-1 on Saturday, 6-0 on Sunday. On Thursday night, Rendon on the Angels was
opening night.
On opening night, some fans were talking shit to him, and he actually put his hands on a fan and was not a good situation. He got a 5-game suspension. That literally just broke maybe 10 minutes ago that it's been reduced to 4 games, but still it's not a good look. If you're a fan, you shouldn't really be crossing a line or whatever. But still, as a player, you can't do that. You can't put your hands on a fan, man. That's crossing.
2 wrongs don't make a right.
It's
exactly
no good.
Yeah, 2 wrongs don't make a right. Pretty much immediately when the game was over, I saw this on Twitter. I saw the video. I saw the news. The major news, and bad look on both sides, right? Bad look for A's fans. Bad look for the ball player. I think Rendon's kind of getting it more than the A's fan because he took a swipe. I'm just I'm an A's fan and I heckle the opposing team. But I consider myself a heckler. I don't use profanity when I heckle. And
there's a line. There's a fine line. Yeah,
there's a very fine line.
Yeah.
What was that, Tim?
Well, there's an understanding that fans are going to heckle the players, and it's just like this is an old hat. Like, well, why can't players deal with it? They should be used to it by now.
To a degree. I think to a degree, calling somebody a B word, come on. Like if you play like a B, you're calling somebody that. If that was on the street, that's fighting words. If you walk up to somebody and you criticize their job and you call them a capital B word, like you're probably getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
Like someone's coming after you. So I agree with you that the athlete has to deal with heckling because it's an old hat, right? We do this. This is what fans do. Fanatic, right? Fan is short for fanatic. I think we know that we go to our first ball games and your parents teach you how to heckle, or your uncle teaches you how to heckle, or something like that, right? There's always that experience of going to the game and you learn how to heckle. I just don't think profanity is the way to go. I wouldn't want somebody to show up on my job and using profanity at me. I have customers in my career that give me a quote unquote hard time, and they're just like, they're just like people who joke around or point things out, and they give you a hard time about it. Sometimes I'm that way. Sometimes I'm one of those guys that just gives you a hard time about it, but it's all lighthearted. But it changes when somebody's giving you, a little bit of a hard time, and then they drop a couple F-bombs and B-bombs, and then it changes. Yeah. The fun is gone, and baseball's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be a family environment. This isn't MMA. This isn't a street fight. This isn't city versus city. It is a leisurely sport that is made to be enjoyed by all ages and communities. So if Rendon was called a B word, you probably deserve to get punched in the face. But that's me. I'm a little,
yeah.
I think the lesson here is if you're gonna heckle, make sure you're further up in the stands, so the players can't get to you.
As long as it just sounds like boo or whatever. Yeah, that's part of it. But then also, like you said, there's like we've said, there is a line. Just keep it on this side of the line. You don't you know, drop in names or whatever. Get clever. I remember I once yelled at Scott Podsednik. Podsednik is Polish for the Sednik. Okay, like
Right.
get clever. You don't have to curse. All right, be smarter. You know,
I have heckled players that have given me the middle finger, that have, looked at me and threw their hands up like, dude, what's up? Like, come on. Not once did I ever use profanity in those situations.
Yeah,
not once.
I definitely remember Matt Kemp was like a rookie, and I was sitting in the bleachers and I was shouting at him, "Hey, Matt Kemp!" And then he struck out. "Oh, that's 1K!" And he struck out 3 times that night. We started calling him Hat Trick.
Right.
And he was warming up by the shortstop by the end. But again, not once did me or anybody else that was yelling at him use profanity. So like there is a fine line to it. Okay. Like there's a bit of a dance. You just don't cross that line. It's so
Absolutely.
easy not to do it.
And it's just being respectful.
Yeah.
It's being respectful. Chew them out, represent the home team. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but calling somebody a B word, you come over to my place. I don't care if I was playing a softball game and you're calling me a B word. Who are you? Just because you pay money doesn't give you the right to say whatever the hell you want, and those actions have consequences. And it's just, we referenced it already, but there's families. Come on.
Yeah.
You don't want these kids seeing you acting like an idiot, using profanity like that. But anyway, the A's don't look good.
They do not.
Saturday,
Tsunami.
I want to get to this Saturday game.
Yeah.
Because I've watched all the games. I watched all 3 games.
Okay.
The pace of play is moving. I find it so much more enjoyable. What do you guys think, real quick, Vince? Like, what do you think about these new rules? Because there's been a lot of people who are, I don't like the rules, but I think it's overwhelmingly more that people like the rules.
Oh, yeah. I would say it's probably a 4-to-1 advantage. People who love the rules versus people who don't at this point. And just seeing it in practice, man, these games are flying. I was there on Thursday for opening night, and it was moving. It got a little bit of a later start because they had the opening ceremonies or whatever. It was still 2.5 hours. We were in and out. That game started at 7:15. We were like, game was done. The A's had won at 9:45, and last year they were starting the night games at 6:40 because these games were just taking so long, and you wanted to try to get people out of there before 10 o'clock on a normal night. You had to start those games even earlier. Not anymore, my friends. We can get in there, start the game at 7, and that gives everybody a chance to arrive on time and get the house is full.
Remember when Mark Mulder would pitch for the A's, and it was always like 2.5 hours when he would pitch for the A's because
it was
just
lightning.
He was just so fast, so efficient.
Yeah,
and can you imagine Mark Mulder pitching with these rules? It'd be like a 2-hour game.
Yeah, dude, I did go to one A's game. I don't even remember who was pitching, but they were playing the Minnesota Twins, and it was like in the summer. That son of a bitch game ended in 1 hour and 57 minutes. Like I don't even remember who was going, but these pitchers, they just, let's go, let's move. And we're going to get games. There's going to be some games that go under 2 hours this year. I can feel it. Like we've already came real close.
When especially if you get like a pitching duel where both starting pitchers and
and there's not a lot of runs. Yeah. If they're dealing, it's going to be like a 2-1 ball game, and we're going to be under 2 hours again. I can feel it. That game is coming if it hasn't already happened today. I haven't checked.
I'm all for it. I think we did a few episodes when they announced these rules. We went through the rule changes, we discussed them, and we kind of talked about, do we like the runner on second? And do we like the bigger bags? And I think we were all like, oh yeah, it kind of makes sense, but seeing it in action and seeing the pace like really move up, and I really like not seeing the shift. I really like seeing the shortstop and second baseman and all the fielders just making more like web gems, defensive plays, man. Like I'm seeing, shortstops go to the third base side and have to make that long throw. It's just a lot of fun to watch. It's a double thumbs up for me.
Yeah.
These new rule changes.
Every single rule that they've enacted this year, I have yet to see a real genuine problem. There was that one issue with the Mets where Jeff McNeil was given a strike because Pete Alonso didn't get back to first base after a foul ball fast enough. And I think that's something that the umpires should be able to use a little bit of discretion. I do see the umpires kind of give a little signal, like tapping their head or something to start the clock. Okay. So in like an instance like that, yeah, maybe you wait a couple extra seconds before starting the clock. Other than that, man, this has been by and large thumbs up from me. I'm loving the pace.
I'm watching more games across the league than like I haven't like I try to keep an eye on the league, but when you get into sometimes it just gets too overwhelming because there's just too much, like the games are running too long. But I've watched like every A's game. I know it's only 3, but I watched all 3 A's games. I watched 2 of the Giants game. I watched the Cardinals game. I watched the who was it? The White Sox and the oh man, why am I blanking? Because it was a huge game. I think it was opening night game. Oh shoot, I'm blanking. But I've been able to watch, like, I love being able to get home and pretty much get home, and it's only like the second and third inning on like a central game or East Coast game. I could finish that up and then bam, the A's are on. I could switch back and forth between West Coast games. And by the time the evening is all done, it's not 11.
Yeah.
It's like 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's all wrapped up for me by 10. I love it. What I don't love, Vince, seeing this, unfortunately, our guy, man, Shintaro Fujinami. Oh my God. He looked amazing in 2 innings. And then that point one,
the third inning started, and then the wheels came off.
God, the wheels came off this bus. He did not look very good.
Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, I don't know what I can say. I hope he figures it out. Obviously, gets better as the starts and the season goes on.
Yeah, and he's only going to be pitching Saturdays. And for anybody who doesn't know, Shintaro is only going to be pitching on Saturdays, and that's because in the Japan leagues, starting pitchers only go about once a week, so every 7 days. So they're just trying to transition him into MLB, and eventually, hopefully, in the next few weeks, he would be a every 5th day guy. But it looks like he has a lot to work on, so maybe once a week is good. Maybe he's, he has electric stuff. Those first 2 innings, I mean, he looked unhittable. He's a 1st round draft pick. He was a teammate of Shohei Ohtani. So they interesting player. So hopefully he pans out. We'll keep an eye on him. Shohei and Mike Trout had an amazing day in that 3rd game. They go back to back. It was kind of interesting to see the when Shohei was pitching, he was able to call his own pitches, and that was kind of a problem that pitchers had, like if you're going to speed it up, then if you're a pitcher who throws 5, 6, 7 pitches, it's going to take you forever to get through these signs. So baseball kind of modified this thing, allowed them to call their own plays on like a little pad. It's like clips to their belt. What I saw was a little pin pad that was stuck to their belt, and they push some buttons, and then that tells the catcher, what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Did you guys check this out? Did you see it?
Yeah,
or-
because the catchers have it as well. Like they can
Right.
call pitches from the little button on their like shin guard or whatever, and both players have like a little thing in their forehead that like lets them like in the hat or in the helmet for a catcher that lets them know what's being called. So they're both on the same page and ready to roll. And
So they
and
punched
that was
those things
introduced
in.
last year. That was
They
introduced
punch
last
those
year.
things
Yeah.
in, and then is it a voice, like a little microphone in your ear, or what is it?
No, it's almost like a buzzing thing. Like it'll buzz like
Like Morse
1, 2,
code. or
3
Morse
or
something.
whatever.
code kind of
or
thing, yeah.
It does something like that.
Or like 2, 1.
Yeah. That's interesting. And then I watched some Giants games. They don't look good either.
Great.
Yeah.
Um,
They were playing the Yankees, who all three of us did pick to go to the World Series. So that it's kind of understandable that they didn't really show up. Although they only scored 7 runs in the Bronx, and all 7 of those runs came on Saturday.
yeah.
So they got shut out on opening day and on Sunday, getting out of.
Well, they
out of
blew
the
up
Bronx.
today.
Yeah, 12-3 against the White Sox. So we'll see how the Giants do. A lot of people expect them to be right around 500. That's where Vegas had them, was 80.5 wins, I think, for their win totals. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
they're
think
going to
500 is fair. I think 500 is fair, but I do not see them as a wild card team or better.
Yeah, yeah.
I just don't think they're very. I think last year, I know the year before they went to the playoffs, but I think that's the outlier more
Right.
than what they are. So.
Yeah, everything went right for them a couple of years ago. Last year, things went more according to normal, and they were back down to about 500. So
I'm not like crazy tapped into Giants baseball, but I did hear some stuff on local radio where it seems like the current regime of the Giants, who had nothing to do with the World Series, have a lot of equity. It just seems like there's not a lot of pressure over there on Mr. Farhan. It just seems like the seat's not very hot. And there's not really a lot of just doesn't seem like there's a lot of excuses. They couldn't get Aaron Judge, they couldn't get Bryce. They tried going after Bryce Harper a couple years before. It just seems like there's not a lot of pressure over there. Every time I listen to something, it's well, you got to wait for the draft picks to come up. And it's like, what about all the money you made from the World Series? Like,
yeah,
what's going on?
I don't know, man. This is like, I don't know what to say about the Giants. They're, there's only so much you can say right now about a team that you expected to be 500. They currently are 500. Granted, we're 4 games in, but they beat a team that they're supposed to beat today, the White Sox, and they lost 2 out of 3 in New York. They got 2 more games against the White Sox, and then they're going to the Royals. Actually, they're coming home and hosting the Royals. Let me rephrase that. So they're actually opening up their first 9 games are against American League teams. So they're playing out most of their American League schedule right off the bat. I mean, then you got the Tigers in April. I'm looking at the schedule right now. Yeah. And the Astros come to town at the beginning of May. So they're playing a lot of American League teams right away. So although they did like balance the schedule now, so that way everybody's playing everybody at least once. Right. So that does kind of make a little bit of sense that that's somebody's got to be playing interleague every day, basically.
Right.
So the Giants just get 9 of them right off the bat, man, before they even see the Dodgers. As for the A's, there you got the Guardians, and they're going to Tampa for this upcoming week. Tampa's supposed to be a pretty good team, so are the Guardians. We'll see how it goes. This could get real ugly real fast, man.
We'll see how it goes. That's all we can do. You're listening to the SVT podcast. Subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell to get alerts when we post new episodes. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into our DMs. We would love to interact with you.